Okay, this is Aquarium Part 1/B. Because I just didn't get it done all in one whack the other day. Well, I have 3 colors here. I don't know how this is going to work. Because I didn't clean out my water container after I used the masking. And I had it full of soap, and I forgot I had it full of soap, and I got soap all in my blue paint, a little bit in my red. It might be interesting. We'll see. I'll have another thing to tell you not to do by the time I'm through. So I have indigo, Quin Burnt Scarlet, and of course Quin Gold. And these are colors that make a pretty good darks. They're all very transparent, and I think some of your best darks happen if you can stay with transparent paints. Now, a lot of the time I use burnt umber, but not necessarily to get a really dark. It's just that burnt umber has that ability to cover things because it has that opacity. So I use that in different circumstances. When you look at this, let's see if this shows. Yes, when you look at this, you can see a wood grain in here and all of that, because I really lightened this a lot so that you could see some of your detail here. I could care less about that wood grain and maybe even this circle thing around here, although it's not bad. The thing is that I want to get a really strong dark in here to help me, because you know I like to have a strong dark early on if I can, so that I can gauge some of these other values better. All right. So here's the colors. Let's see what's showing up here. And what am I going to do with them? Well, I don't know. Let's pick up some of the red. Yeah, it's got bubbles in it. And put it in over here. I think I need a little more red. Okay. So see, that's a really strong orange. Now, orange with some blue in it makes brown. I figure that I will probably wind up putting down 2 layers of color. Again, I kind of prefer that. I think it soaks down in the paper a little bit more if I can work really wet. And then the second layer would be really wet too. Oh dear, that blue is just, I don't know. That's deadly. So see a little bit of blue. See how much darker that gets? I won't go to a full brown here. This has still got a very strong orange component to it. And again, the thing is, we don't necessarily want this to be quite the same all the way through. However, I might make some of the color changes happen in here. I want it all to be dark, but I might make some of the color changes in here. It'd be easier with the second layer. So let's just start a place down here. How does that look? Oh, that looks nice and rich. It's not real dark. And for right now, I'm going to just go around the outside here. I should have gotten this wet on the back and pressed it. Because this is curled up a little bit. That crops. Well, no, it doesn't crop. Okay. Lots of wet, lush paint. Look at that. So don't spread it out thin. I've got a fairly strong mixture is full of bubbles. Will that wash up more easily later? I don't know. And so part of the bottom crops off here. Oh, I want to get that just so. And part of the value of this is letting it soak in, not to dry it and speed it up. These shoes are going to be very dark and they're going to almost merge into this background. Because if you look at your photo, that's what they do. Now, it's not that you have to do what's exactly in the photo, but that's actually a very good effect, that lost edge there. Generally, if I find a lost edge that I already have a lost edge naturally, I try to keep it. Because I love lost edges. Again, a little bit of this crops off over here. Yeah, the bubbles in this paint is really annoying. I'm not sure. I don't want this to wash off later. Whoops. Well, I just had to change the shape a little bit. Okay. Whoop, there was my thumb. Okay. So, now, this needs to have, let's get some clean water here. This could have some color bleeding over here. You know, I'm a little bit torn as to whether to do it yet or not, but I think I will. Oh yeah, that's kind of pretty. Clean paper towel. And let that merge with the color from the water. You could do this with a flat brush too. Oh, that's a little stronger color. Let's just put a little more of this in over here. This is still wet enough that I'm not going to get a background, but even if I did get a background in this that's going to go really dark, it really wouldn't worry me. So what I've got here is some more of this floating into here, which I'm perfectly fine with too. I could take my flat brush here, make sure it's good and wet, and then get the extra water out of it. We'll see. That's probably going to migrate over some. As long as it doesn't go into the water, I'm fine. I've got a splatter up here again. Okay, so let's do the same thing over here. There's a beautiful dark blue shadow right in there, and see where that merges with the browns. It's all very nice. So our first step to getting that is to pull some of this color over, because this is still wet. But here's the thing, even though it's wet, it's not bleeding over a whole lot. Oops, I didn't clean my brush out well enough. It's not bleeding over a whole lot. I think that I'm going to add more color again. Again, see, we're pulling some of that in here. Let's just pick some more color up. Let's just put some in here. Well, I don't want that. See, that's a little bit drier than I want. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I love where this blue shadow merges into the browns right along here. I definitely want to play with that because I think that's a beautiful area. Just need to stay over this a little bit. Now this isn't going to look overworked because this is very, very wet and I'm just gently moving the paint around. And see, there's a little place there that's a little lighter and blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to leave that. Okay, I'm happy with this. I'm trying to decide. Okay, let's stop there for a minute. Okay, I'm real pleased with this. It's got kind of a rough, aged-looking edge there, especially with this little mistake from the other day. And yeah, I like that. I'm real pleased with that. So this is where we are stopping now, because this is the end of part 1. But what I want you to do this week, after you let this set and let this dry naturally, you might even go back after it's really, really dry and re-dampen it once if you want. That just sets that paint in there a little more and let it dry naturally again. Then I want you to wet down the back and press it so it's ready for next week. Yeah, I think that's a nice start on this. I'm real pleased with what I'm seeing.